bring in Rodgers, the objective is to bring him in to win a Super Bowl. You're not going to stunt the growth of your top 10 overall pick for no reason, just to bypass another season. James, you played with Rodgers. Yeah. You won a Super Bowl with Rodgers. You know what he's capable of, but we have been witnessing the chaos of this decision for weeks now, mounting into months. I'm tired of it, but very simply, can Rodgers bring the Vikings a Super Bowl?
Rodgers gives them the best chance, and y'all know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers. That's my dog. I feel like he can take any organization to the Super Bowl. I just got confidence in him like that. He gives them the best chance, but I don't want to see it, man. Go with the young boy. Let the young boy play football. You drafted him 10 overall. Let him play football. And to be honest with you, I hate what the Minnesota Vikings are doing. Give the young boy some confidence. Let him know you're the starter, man. Let him know this is your football team. We drafted you 10th overall. Let all the Aaron Rodgers talk go out the window. We believe in you. The best thing Ted Thompson did for me and Greg Jennings, right? Brett Favre was there. Brett Favre was pushing for Randy Moss at the time. Go trade for Randy Moss. And Ted Thompson came up to me and Greg Jennings, and he said, hey, man, I believe in y'all boys. I drafted y'all boys. I'm not getting him. But it just was a confidence builder for us. Not saying we turned out to be Randy Moss. Greg Jennings turned out to be phenomenal. I did what I did in my career. We got a Super Bowl out of it. But just the confidence of your GM telling you, bruh, we're not going to get him. Go out there and play football. We drafted you. We developing y'all. Let's go play. Get a young boy some confidence. Stop having a young boy thinking, is this my team? Am I going to play? Is Aaron Rodgers coming? All that. Aaron Rodgers does give you the best chance right now, but for the future, let the young quarterback play, and I think you can be able to, with the roster you have, to compete for some championships down the road.
Where you want Rodgers to go then? Steelers?
Steelers.
To what? Make a playoff appearance and be out in the first round?
I just don't want him to go to the Vikings. You drafted somebody 10th overall.
Chase, can Aaron Rodgers bring the Vikings a Super Bowl?
That's where I was getting, Acho. Yeah, I think he can. I think he can. I've been very vocal about it. Look, I think if you bring Rodgers in and you have a conversation with KOC, and KOC and him, Kevin O'Connell, offensive coach of the year, head coach of the year, all this stuff, if you have a conversation with Aaron Rodgers and understand he is a one-year rental, and you bring him in here to win a Super Bowl and you set realistic expectations, how are him and Kevin O'Connell going to mesh? What kind of offense are we going to run? How will him and JJ McCarthy mesh? Because I think that's a bigger part of it. Is Aaron willing to not teach JJ, but to usher him in to an era? Okay? Will he be disruptive in the locker room? All this stuff, you have to be careful about the dynamic, because on the field, what I saw from Rodgers' last 10 games, based on play alone, he can absolutely lead this team to a Super Bowl. Now, it's not unrealistic to think that, because if you're able to get 14 wins with Sam Darnold, surely you can do it with Aaron Rodgers. And I like JJ McCarthy. I do think JJ McCarthy is going to be good in the NFL. But right now, there's a lot of unknown. The young buck has not played any football, okay? And if you have a guy, a future Hall of Famer, and Aaron Rodgers out there, and you feel like he's not going to be super disruptive to the locker room, how can you sit here and tell me that right now, on paper, Aaron Rodgers does not easily give you the best chance to win a Super Bowl over JJ McCarthy?
I want to answer that. So the reason why I think they can win a Super Bowl, Chase, to answer your question.
Can or can't?
Can or can't?
Absolutely
With
can.
Rodgers.
Right? No way. The reason why is because he's in his 20th season, gentlemen. 4 MVPs, right? For all that said, you got 1 Super Bowl appearance. And that's when you was MVP 4 times, Aaron Rodgers. And y'all telling me a declining 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers torn ACL, he won a championship now today? Let me say it again. Hold on, Chase.
Achilles, right?
2011 is when he won a Super Bowl with James Jones, and they won a Super Bowl. 4 MVPs amongst that duration, right? That's when he was the man. That's when everybody want to be like Aaron Rodgers, okay? And y'all telling me now he gonna win a Super Bowl? And he only win it 1 time? When he was the best of the best? Absolutely not.
I mean, he was with the Green Bay Packers with Mike McCarthy, who I think we know at this point is not this awesome, great coach. You're going to believe that Kevin O'Connell is a significantly better coach, and you should have significantly better defenses and a significantly better roster at this point. So to try to compare what he did at Green Bay years ago pretty much means nothing, quite frankly, because then the other last few years he had, rookie head coach, Matt LaFleur, who was figuring out what it means to be a head coach. That's not an easy spot to be in either. So when you bring in experience, Kevin O'Connell and Aaron Rodgers, yeah, I think you could potentially have a lot of success. It's one thing if Mike McCarthy went on and was winning Super Bowls with Dak and whatnot, then we could say, okay, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, et cetera, et cetera. But that's obviously far, far, far from the case. Mike McCarthy has had some pretty interesting moments in the playoffs himself. So I just don't think you can put that on there. If you believe that Kevin O'Connell is a better coach than Mike McCarthy, then using Aaron Rodgers' years with Mike McCarthy and the Packers becomes pointless from that viewpoint. But I do think it's interesting that the Vikings GM came out and said, a player like Rodgers is always going to be discussed. And a lot of Vikings fans kept trying to push back and saying it's not even a discussion. And clearly it was a discussion, which is why this conversation still won't die. And there's even some people that have reported that Aaron Rodgers can still sign with the Minnesota Vikings, or that this still kind of back and forth can kind of disrupt JJ McCarthy. And listen, it's one thing if the Vikings were looking to sign like Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, then I could be like, okay, this can shake JJ McCarthy's confidence. But JJ McCarthy is obviously mature enough, intelligent enough, a great head on his shoulders, that he's going to understand that if someone like Aaron Rodgers, even if old, is still available, the teams are going to discuss it. He's not a fool. He's not a clown. So JJ McCarthy's not. This is not going to shake JJ McCarthy's confidence, because he's going to be like, well, yeah, that's Aaron Rodgers. I get it. Why would you not, potentially be interested in Aaron Rodgers? I've never even played a snap in the NFL. Like, it's just a sign of someone who has a tremendous amount of maturity, humility, and understands, yeah, I got to learn. I'm not going to just walk into the NFL from day one and just be elite and never look back. That didn't happen to Tom Brady, didn't happen to Aaron Rodgers, didn't happen to Patrick Mahomes, didn't happen to Peyton Manning. It's not going to happen to me. You can have belief in yourself and confidence in yourself, but you also need to have, some realism. You need to understand. You need to have goals, not dreams. Because for these NFL athletes, goals, their dreams are goals that are actually attainable. These guys dream of being in the NFL, but not really. Their goal is to be in the NFL, and they achieve it. So it's kind of different levels. So I think these types of conversations, you can't be concerned. Again, if the Vikings were having real conversations about bringing in Russell Wilson, because I think maybe Russell Wilson can lead them to a Super Bowl, then yeah, I would be like, I would be like, you think Russell Wilson at this point in his career is better, or Justin Fields? You want to take a flyer on Justin Fields? Like, oh man, you guys are really that afraid of my injury or what you saw in the offseason or whatever it may be. But like, Aaron Rodgers still holds a tremendous amount of weight. He just does. Whether you think he's past his prime or not, or, a shell of himself, it doesn't matter. It still is Aaron Rodgers, and he is still an all-time great and a legend. People might not like him, which again is totally fine, but he's still there. And I guess it just dawned on me, I'm kind of upset that I didn't really think about it, because so many Vikings fans were so overtly against Aaron Rodgers to the point when I was like, oh, I don't know if they're going to sign him, but it's clearly being discussed. And people were like, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No way. And it's like, well, yes, obviously, yes, that's what it's being reported. It's even what the GM himself is saying. Like, it's obvious. They kept saying, no. And I just realized, like, it's obviously because it's Green Bay and it's Aaron. Like, I wasn't really looking at it through that lens necessarily, that there's just an extra layer of hatred and just, I guess hatred is really the only other word. That's where it's people are just like, no, we don't want anything to do with Aaron. Get him out of here. Don't want him. And, from someone who's not sensitive to that relationship, quite frankly, because I'm just more on the outside looking in, I just look at it from more of from a football perspective, as well as like, what's the reality of the situation. They're obviously considering it, although it doesn't feel like they're considering it now, which is weird, because this is actually a recent clip. This was posted on on Thursday or whatever. So it was like you could have seen this clip be posted like last week. So I was kind of surprised, but I guess it's because the GM came out and said, like, yeah, of course someone like Aaron is always going to be discussed. And like I said, there's already been other reports that like he could still be potentially signed. But it doesn't feel like that's really where any of the momentum is going. But if you want to just, ask the question or answer the question, point blank, can Aaron Rodgers bring Vikings to Super Bowl? I think the answer is yes. And if you were forced to make a decision right now between JJ McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers for just 1 year, 1 season, and you have no other information, you're saying, who do you think gives you the better chance? Like, it's going to be Aaron because he's actually played in the NFL at a high level. It just is. We're yet to see JJ McCarthy, step foot on an NFL field in an NFL game. Okay. I understand preseason and all of that. And again, I think JJ McCarthy will be great. But again, I think the best part of this whole thing is, and why people keep having this conversation surrounding JJ McCarthy, is because people think that the Vikings are such a great team and are so well coached that they really are just a great quarterback away from winning the Super Bowl. And then so the question is can this rookie 22-year-old quarterback be great from the jump? You're just asking a lot, especially someone who just missed a whole year, who's coming back from an injury. So it's a good problem to have, because as people are saying, this team is so ready to pop that they just need an experienced quarterback. You don't even necessarily need to be a great quarterback, but you just need to be an experienced quarterback who knows how to run an offense, who knows how to, execute an offense and execute the vision of Kevin O'Connell, and the reality is that JJ McCarthy will have to learn that. And like I always keep saying in all my Vikings videos, like, no matter how great you think JJ is or will be, he's going to have to go through growing pains, and he's going to mess up, and he's going to play poorly at times. Like, it just happens to every quarterback. It's just kind of putting that kind of in context and just being like, all right, well, do we have a roster right now that can win a Super Bowl? Even just kind of do like a Dak Prescott thought experiment. If Dak Prescott was your quarterback, can you win a Super Bowl? It's an interesting question. Baker Mayfield was your quarterback. Could you win a Super Bowl? Yeah, I think it's like, it's interesting. And then the question is JJ McCarthy day one going to be better than, these other quarterbacks? And that's kind of then how you kind of figure out maybe like what's the right decision here. But yeah, it is interesting. I don't know why they're still kind of hemming and hawing on this whole thing, but I think either way the Vikings will still have a lot of success. But if you told me that their Super Bowl chances out of 100, 100 being the best, it's an 85 with JJ McCarthy, I would say then it's a 90 with Aaron Rodgers. But at the same time, the risk, I don't even want to say that there's more of a risk with Aaron, because at first I was going to say there's a greater risk potentially with Aaron, but I don't know if that's true, because you still have first year starter risk to deal with, that you're pretty much guaranteed to see. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's actually a good problem for the Vikings to have, because it just means how great their roster is and how great their coaching staff is, that people think, dude, if you get a competent quarterback, an experienced quarterback in that on the field, you're a Super Bowl contender. That means something. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the JJ McCarthy-led Minnesota Vikings compared to the Aaron Rodgers-led Minnesota Vikings? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.